Well, welcome back. Trending tonight, a new study shows that social media is not as inspiring as it really seems. Most people get on social media to chat with their peers and find out what's happening in the world, or even get online to get inspired to improve their lives. But research is showing that inspiration is falling flat.
Researchers say people who actively share their journeys in health and fitness become more self-conscious about their bodies if they watch what others are posting online. One scientist even says many users don't even realize that they're internalizing the images that they're seeing.
Yeah, and listen to this. The American Psychological Association suggests young adults are now experiencing depression, suicidal thoughts at an alarming rate, partially because of social media.
Yeah, now listen to this. The Biebs, Justin Bieber, is apparently sleeping in a portable, hyperbaric oxygen chamber. He's admitted on Instagram that he's been struggling lately with his mental health. That comes as a new study finds that trend is rising among millennials like Bieber.
Okay, so can this chamber really help with mental health? Here's Team 12's Lisa Nico, who's asking the experts.
Most patients spend more than 2 hours inside one of these hyperbaric chambers. They do it every day for up to 6 weeks.
It's the Instagram post that has Bieber believers discussing mental health. Fans are talking about the pop star's posts, including one with Bieber in a hyperbaric chamber. A new article in the Journal for Abnormal Psychology finds millennials have been more likely to suffer from depression over the last decade.
Can't rule out other potential causes.
Professor and board-certified psychiatrist Amelia Galatano says that could be because of social media use, lack of sleep, loss of interest in activities outside the home, and fear for their safety.
But other factors could be things like climate change or increase in violent acts that are going on, and mass shootings and things like that.
While some studies have shown a link between increased serotonin, a stress-relieving hormone, and oxygen treatments, experts say there's not enough research to back up the hyperbaric chamber therapy as treatment for depression.
Until we do those kinds of studies, it's very challenging to determine whether the effect is due to the intervention or due to placebo.
Lisa Nico, 12 News.